Many years ago, there lived a man called Ndoka and his wife Dele in the village of Umunedi. They had one daughter called Jumebi, and they all lived happily in a three-bedroom house at the extreme end of the village near the stream. When Ndoka wanted to marry Dele, his wife, something strange happened. His wife Dele had a girlfriend called Ashake. They both did everything together as good friends always did. When he proposed to Dele, Ashake came to meet him and angrily demanded why he should ask for Dele's hand in marriage instead of her own. She said she had been in love with Ndoka for long, and so Ndoka should marry her instead of Dele. Ndoka was surprised. He did not like Ashake and did not notice her presence at all as a lover, except as a friend of his wife Dele. He did not hesitate to let Ashake know that. After Ndoka and Dele's marriage, the two girls continued to be friends, and Ndoka did not bother to tell Dele about it in order not to ruin the relationship. Dele did not suspect anything, and she drew Ashake closer to herself in her new home without knowing she was treading on the back of her scorpion. One day, Ashake thought over her life and felt really bad that her friend Dele always got what she wanted and even the best of everything they did together. The market they often sold, Dele's own was always thriving more than hers. Now, the man she had the interest of marrying, Dele had taken him away from her. What kind of best friend is this, she thought. Everything in my life that I want, she has been taking them away from me, she thought ruefully. She knew she was more beautiful than Dele. But why did Ndoka not choose me? And he knows that I really love him. She now sat down to think over the whole thing and came up with the decision that she was not going to let things lie low. She was going to do something about it. The next day, Ashake made up her mind to do something about the whole situation. I must have my man back, she muttered loudly. No friend can take him away from me. She decided to do something about it. She traveled out of town for a few days, telling her friend she was going to see a relative. She returned home, bubbling with joy and a lot of enthusiasm. Dele was now pregnant for the second child, and the pregnancy was about 3 months old. Dumebi, her daughter, was now 3 years old. So her husband Ndoka was happy that a second child was on the way when he found out his wife Dele was pregnant. One day, while Ndoka was at home with his wife and daughter, Ashake visited to tell Dele that they will be getting ready to go to the market in 2 days' time, so she should get prepared to go and buy and sell their commodities. Ndoka was really uneasy at that. He wanted his wife to stay and relax at least for some time because of the pregnancy. So he advised her not to go, not to travel to such a far market. But Ashake quickly waved everything off. Since they were going together, she said, why was Ndoka worrying? They were going together and they were friends. She would always be there for Dele. Ndoka managed to control himself and left it at that. On the market day, the two women left for the market. At about noon, when they had sold their goods, they were on their way returning from the market when some men intercepted them on the bush paths. And to Dele's surprise, she watched Ashake, her best friend and most trusted of all, sell her to the men. She started to beg Ashake to not do that. Ashake, you've been my friend since childhood. Please don't do this to me, please, she pleaded. Don't sell me. I'm your friend. Why do you want to sell me? For how much, Ashake, please? But Ashake was not listening. He said, Dele, my friend, much as I love you, you've gone too far this time. You took the man I love and wanted to get married to. And now, when you are out of the way, I'll marry him. And he is the love of my life. Dele was crying now. Please, Ashake, my little daughter, Dumebi, needs me. And besides, I'm pregnant with another child. Ashake laughed. That is the more reason why you should be gone out of Nduka's life. Because when you have two children now, I will not be able to enter there. You are a pain in my neck. You are not a friend. You are an enemy, she shouted. Dele now saw the true nature of Ashake, the person she had always called her best friend. Oh, you cannot know the heart of men, she thought, crying, and watched Ashake looking at her as the men dragged her away. Oh, this is friendship of how many years? As she was being dragged, Ashake shouted, Don't worry, I'll help you take care of your daughter if that is your problem, she said, and watched her friend being taken away. Ashake went back home to say they had been attacked on the way. She inflicted some injuries on her body, and from all, it really convinced the villagers they had really been attacked. The villagers, all the men, and Ndoka went into the forest to look for Dele, but they could not find her, and it was concluded she had been either killed or abducted. Ndoka was almost killing himself with the pain of losing his wife and being left alone to look after a 3-year-old daughter. Ashake kept coming to the house to cook for Nduka, wash, and look after Dumebi, pretending to love the child very much, pretending to be a good friend who was feeling the loss of her friend. One day, when Nduka returned home, drunk out of frustration, he undressed and lay on the bed in his room. Ashake, on noticing that, quickly put Dumebi to bed and hurried to Nduka's bedroom to lock herself with him there. The following morning, Nduka woke up to find Ashake in his arms, and it was like something had happened between them. He was completely demoralized, but Ashake soon put him at ease. It did not matter anymore since his wife was dead, and she will be a good and loving mother to Dumebi, his daughter. Ashake soon told Nduka she was pregnant, and that was how she came to live with Nduka and his daughter Dumebi in the house. 6 years passed. Ashake's only child and daughter was now 5 years old. Dumebi was 10, and the table had turned. He was now playing the role of a house help in the house, with barely food to eat. Every day, when Ashake had left for the market and she had finished her work, Dumebi would go to the bank of the river, sit there and be crying in hunger and the absence of her mother. Dumebi noticed each time she sat down crying by the riverside that there was an old woman who always sat at the other end, watching her. One day, when she was thus crying, the old woman beckoned on her to come. Why are you crying, little girl? She asked, looking at her deep in the eyes as she stood beside her. My stepmother has not given me any food since morning, and I'm hungry, she replied. And what about your mother and father? The old woman asked. My mother is dead, she replied. I cannot tell my father what is happening, otherwise my stepmother will beat me. The old woman shook her head sadly. She bent down and picked a cowrie from the sand and gave it to Dumebi. Here, take this, she said. When you get home, put the cowrie at the door, the entrance to your home. Then go straight to the kitchen and take enough food that will satisfy your hunger to eat, she said. Now go. and don't remove the cowrie until after 7 days. Do you understand? Yes, ma, she said. She replied and hurried off home. She did as the old woman instructed and went into the kitchen to take some food. When her family got home, she heard her stepmother complaining to her father. There is something in this house that is, someone has brought something into this house and the thing is burning my body, she cried. Quick, everyone look for it and throw it away. Her stepmother said. Her husband said, what did you see in this house? Nobody brought anything. We have been living in this house for so long. It has been put here by who? She said, no, there is something. Her body is paining her. The fire is burning her. She was just shouting. Before you know it, people started coming. What? People said, what is happening? What is happening? Ashake, what is happening? She was crying. Fire is burning all over, please. Who is putting this fire on my body? Don't burn me anymore. I'm going to talk. I will confess. I will confess. She started to shout. People say, what? Confess what? Nduka said, what do you want to confess? Hey, what kind of disgrace does this woman want to bring to me again? Confess what? They now brought her outside. Okay, tell us what you want to confess. I sold her, she shouted, jumping up and down. I sold her. You sold who? I sold Dele. Eh? You sold Dele, your friend, to whom? To a gang of men at the faraway village market. We went to trade and I sold her. What? Why did you sell her? Because she took the man I love, Ndoka. I had to sell her. I sold Dele, your wife, because I wanted to take you from her, she confessed. She had always dominated my space. And I wanted you, so I had to get rid of her. Quickly, Nduka and others told her to take them to the people she had sold Dele to 6 years ago. That instant, they trooped along the bush path to the village, where they had gone to trade. When they got there, they went to the house of the village chief straight to report the matter. The chief summoned the men who had bought Dele, and he told them to produce Dele, the woman they had bought from Ashake 6 years ago. The men said remorsefully that they had sold her to another village chief, and they all trooped down at the command of the chief of their village to go and show them the place they sold Dele. And when they got there, they saw that the village chief of that place had married Dele as the fifth wife, and Dele had given birth to the first pregnancy she was carrying, and then a second one for the chief of the village, making sons. They were all disappointed. So when Dele saw her husband, she was shocked beyond words and ran into his arms at the mention of her name by Nduka. It was all confusing, but at last the issue was resolved. The men who had bought Dele from Ashake brought out the money and gave it back to the chief who was now marrying Dele. But the chief refused to take the money. He said Dele had given him a son, and he was satisfied with that because he had no son. All his children were all girls, and that was the only son he was having, that he would take his son and let Dele take the son she gave birth to on arriving at the village that she knew was not his, and follow her husband and go back, since he was the rightful person that paid her dowry. So everything was settled and they all trooped back to their village. The two men were disciplined by their village chiefs and given restrictions, while Ashake, on getting to the village, was arraigned by their village chief, and decision was made that Ashake should be banished out of the kingdom, and she was driven and banished out of the kingdom for her evil deed. Nduka was the rightful man that paid Dele's dowry, so she took Dele back home and their son. At last, crying with deep emotions flowing, they all went back to their home, and Dele was able to reunite with her daughter. Nduka was heartbroken, but he was happy he had found his wife and son, who was only a few months old in his mother's womb when the whole incident happened. After 7 days, as instructed by the old woman, Dumebi picked up the cowrie and went in search of the old woman. But at last, she never saw her again. She returned home to tell her parents what had happened, how everything had happened. And they were all surprised. The creator had used Dumebi to reunite the family and bring peace once again to the household, which they would not have discovered for life. That is the end of the story. Please subscribe and share the video to family and friends who might be interested in local African stories. Thanks for watching.